So in this episode of this series, I want to start talking about a little bit about two of my favorite TV shows and how watching them can help you learn a little bit more about the United States if you're coming here. So eventually, when everything's over, COVID's over, it's going to get back to normal. People can move freely. I'm constantly watching videos in other places, different countries around the world. So when we can actually leave, I can go back to traveling outside the United States. The first episode I want to talk about is talking to the dead. But before we actually get into the first Penn and Teller episode, we need to kind of do a little bit of background on them. On their wiki page, it goes over a little bit of everything. The original release was January 24th, 2003 to August 12th, 2010. So things are a little dated. Some of the things have changed a little bit, but most of it still holds true overall. Now, if you visit their webpage, you can, at your leisure, just go into all more in detail than what we can in like a 10-minute video for each one. The first one is pretty easy to explain, so we can kind of run through it real quick. Most of this is going to be pictures. It won't be tons and tons of video because they just block my videos. I can't even post them. There's too much other people's content. But they had a really good run overall. If you just take a look, we've got things: alien abductions, alternative medicines, the Bible, wars on drugs, ESP, animal rights, gun, organic food, different countries. There's a little bit of everything, and it kind of exposes how people are overall. So I think it really is a good, not test of our people, but it shows you a lot of information if you're going to come here, what to kind of expect. The other series we'll get into here pretty soon, but I want to go through a little bit of the first episode. I want to watch some of it. If I can make a short clip, I will, but most of it's going to be pictures so I don't get banned. Now, first we have the first episode. You can see season 1, episode 1, Talking to the Dead, Penn and Teller. It's probably better this way so we don't have to listen to the constant cussing, because there's a lot of gratuitous nudity that most people don't really want to see, especially their kids. So in the first episode about Talking to the Dead, he's sitting there with Penn Jillette's sitting there. Teller's, spoiler alert, he's behind the grave, and he's gonna stick his face through like Freddy Krueger did in special effects for one of his movies. But basically, Penn's just talking about how Harry Houdini devoted the last part of his life before he died in 1926 to debunking myths. And because Penn and Teller are magicians, they know all about Harry Houdini, and they felt it was a good way to make money. I mean, they believe it, but again, Penn Jillette there on the screen is constantly talking about our job is to sell tickets. It's to entertain you. This is what we get paid for. So you can do two things at once, but he's going to go over everything in greater detail, and it's pretty interesting. So this one will be brief.
So some of you may ask, why pee on someone else's parade? One important difference: we tell you we're lying.
So that's one of the main issues they come across on a lot of these episodes, is basically people are just lying to you to scam you out of your money. This is one. I think Times Square in New York had such There, I mean, you can look up the stories on it. The psychics that basically just cheat and swindle people out of money. They had to like shut them all down. It got so bad. It still exists. I mean, you can still travel America and see, psychic signs in certain towns. I think there's one in Indiana I come across when I travel. Okay, this is the main focus of the episode. Most of what they have to say is dealing with these two, to expose what they do and how they do it. They get into, or they'll get into a little bit more here pretty soon. But they've got four main psychics. Okay, her name's Rosemary Altea, and she, well, besides being upper middle class by the size of the diamond ring on her finger, yeah, she's not bad. She probably has a background in psychology. She basically brings this guy to tears. I mean, you're going to find out how she was able to do that here in just a second. And these aren't even the worst offenders. I mean, this guy literally went on national television and broke down crying because he believed his mother was talking to him at the time. Yeah. Wonder how she knew. Let's find out. Wait. Hold on. Wait, I know how she knew. I know what it is. I know. Aliens. Yeah, that's gotta be it. Aliens. No, sorry. Oh man, when South Park parodies you, you know you're doing something wrong. I'm not even going to say it. Just look up South Park and John Edwards, and it's good for a few laughs. Well, every episode of that show is for a few laughs, but that one in particular is something else entirely. Dealing with the subject anyway. So here we got the most, well, depending on what circles of, if you're interested in any of this, John Edwards and Von Prague are two of the biggest ones at the time of, what was it, 2003, the early 2000s. Even I would flip through the television and see John Edwards guessing and missing like half the time. A complete waste of time. Okay, so Penn's basically talking about the crying man you saw before and how it affected him when he lost his mother. And it's not, he explains it perfectly. It's not about the money. You're literally stepping on the memory of someone who died to make that money. We can afford to lose a little money here and there. We make millions through our lives. A couple $100 is not going to be so. They wanted the money so bad that they were literally willing to lie to your face and make you, using psychology to make you believe that what's actually going on isn't what's actually going on. And he puts it pretty eloquently. If you watch this episode, it's on Hulu right now. It's April 2021 in the United States. Or you can use a VPN to, if you have Hulu in another country, you can just use the VPN and put it to the United States, and you can watch it right now. Okay, so what they're going to explain is the Center for Inquiry West. I think it's in Los Angeles. They're going to have one of their head guys talk here in just a second. And it's basically about how they investigate the claims. So they will take it seriously, but with a grain of salt also for everything they hear. and he's going to explain that he's never seen, when they investigate, they never see anything that actually pans out. Now, I don't know who has, but ultimately, yeah, I mean, it's one in a trillion. I mean, if you can fool some of these tests that they, that they run, that you're going to see a lot more of the same stuff in later episodes, ways to debunk, and say you find somebody and you actually do believe them, try these methods on them, type of thing. See if they're actually, if they can pass the test, so to speak. Okay, this is where the scientific people, or the real, the academics, explain about cold reading. It's about body language and manipulation and figuring out what it is the person wants. He's going to go over it a little bit more in depth than I can if you watch the video. But it's the same technique. They all use the same thing. I'm getting an O, Oscar. Is there a name? George. There's an O in the name. People read into it, and it's incredibly gullible. I mean, I've never once went anywhere and even paid the least bit of attention. These James von Prague might as well have a tinfoil hat, and just telling me that there's aliens too, and they're among us. It's science fiction. It's cold reading. Look it up. It's pretty interesting, the whole cold reading thing.
It's an artful method of fishing for information while giving the impression that you're getting this information from some special supernatural source, such as.
So in this, he's going over. You can see the back of him and the front of him at the bottom right hand, but he's saying somebody's being coached. There's a coach somewhere, and you can see him staring, and the woman is looking disinterested and just like, no, I don't know what you're talking body language wise, and he's questioning him. Now, if Mr. Edwards here is good at body language, he would immediately use the technique where he flips to something else. And I mean, yeah, that's probably what he's going to do. Okay, so the center, their director is going over hot reading. So just like cold reading, hot reading is, he says, basically it's cheating. Now, if you have prior knowledge, or if you can look up information, there's all kinds of ways in the United States, the Freedom for Information Act. You can look up things about everyone. I mean, the social media, you can find out when people die. It's not a big mystery. It's published in the paper. I mean, you could get so much information, and they're going to go over how the best people actually get the information, and that's one of the key things. It's not always invasion of privacy, even though a lot of times it is. Working with the larger audience sounds like an A. It's got an A in the word. Is it Alec? Is it Alan? Is it alopecia? Yeah, they all do the exact same thing. It's just some are better than others, but it's still a con.
Edward.
Eddie. Who's Ed? Does it have E in it? Does it have a vowel? Does your name have a consonant in it? Oh, I know who it is. Oh, yeah. Okay, so Mr. John Edwards, don't get psychic amnesia. John coined the phrase to describe what happens when he goes to someone in the audience and they forget their family tree. Just bring the family tree to the show, just in case. Does not know your friends and relatives. You have to give feedback. It's a show. It's a boring con artist show. I'd rather go to a taping of The Ellen Show than ever see John Edwards ever again. That's how much I like you doing this. Okay, so Penn and Teller are basically acting out. If you are an actual psychic, why would you get it wrong ever? Even a little. The whole point of psychics is if you can see the future, why haven't you won the lottery and you've moved to, I don't know, Cancun, like France? You'd be winning the lottery somewhere. It's completely pointless. Okay? They want money and they tell you stuff. They do it a few more episodes. They go through tons of people and they expose every single one of them to be basically frauds. I don't know. It's just one of the ones it's a no-brainer. Anybody tells you that they can talk to your dead relatives, don't give them money. You might as well go give homeless people your money and pray at a church somewhere. At least then somebody that needs money will be benefited in some way. Okay, this is the center's two of them, the director and one of the other top guys. They actually go undercover in James Von Prague's studio taping, his BS seminar, and they get a picture of the non-disclosure agreement. Basically, you can't talk about certain things. They get a picture of it, and it's like a book. It's like the length of a book, and they have, I think it's I'll check it out in here in a second, about a 3-hour taping that they whittle down to about an hour to make Von Prague look as good as they possibly can. And they only show the good things. They don't show the bad, all the misses. Is there a G? Is there a Z? Is it a zebra? Do you hear a horse or is it a zebra? That's mainly what they go into. Okay, he's talking about his experience. He's got it on video. There's a warm-up period where Von Prague will go out and he'll start talking with people, and he'll ask them information, and he's saying, during the taping that 45 minutes of warm-up before the 3-hour taping, he was asking them questions, and Von Prague comes directly to those people and has a psychic prediction about information they already told him previously. And that's one of the indicators. Know what you say to someone, so if they use it back at you, you'll be better off for it.
Received a great email. Remember
Okay, just to sum up our brief overview of the episode, I'd rather everyone, if anyone watches this, to just watch it yourself. Watch the whole thing in its entirety. Just me talking about it doesn't do anything justice, and I can't show the whole thing because the video won't get aired, so I can only show little pictures and very, 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 very short clips. But to sum it up, here on at least this part of the video at the end, the guy that was crying with the Rosemary lady in the green shirt, psychic, again, air quotes, he contacts him later, and while he's not grieving, he gives them an explanation of it. It was all very general. I didn't feel any better. The more I thought about it, the more time I had to think. It was BS. It's not something that you can actually do. It's not a drama. It's not a horror movie. Like, you can't talk to people that are here no more. It's sad, of course, but they're gone. They're absolutely gone. And they sum it up by saying it's all BS. And you can see it. Now, this won't affect a whole lot of people, but the entire catalog, when you watch these, I'm going to do another episode of my second favorite TV show that I would watch if I was coming to the United States at some point, even the Vacation or Live, to kind of get a broader sense of what goes on, how people are. Of course, if you can speak English. But each one of these gives a glimpse into a lot of its. They say in the show, people are gullible to the right person for the right thing. You have to know how to figure out what it actually is that people want, and then you give it to them. The better looking you are, the more success you're going to have. The more people will listen to you. Just listen to any of the people, the fast talkers, the real blah blah blah, and they went to college for 4 years, and they've got two degrees in that time, and like a Ben Shapiro type. But when you break it down, a lot of the ideas are good, but a lot of the ideas are not good at the same time. You just have to make up your own opinion. But yeah, the video is going to be as short as I can edit it down to. But hopefully that if you watch this, you'll watch the whole catalog, and it helps someone. I mean, it was entertaining, and it helped me a little bit kind of break down and memorize in a fun way. Things like cold and hot reading, scams. Be careful of the scams if you come to the United States. And they are everywhere. There's tons of these videos that people can fall susceptible to. But we'll get into that on the next episode of Penn and Teller's BS. And hopefully we'll break down some more good stuff that somebody finds interesting. Okay, so that's all from me for this video. Okay, thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you on the next video.